Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2. Welcome back to Budapest. We are going to pick up a cargo of canned tuna and we're going to begin making our way down into Romania. It's a long trip. We won't finish it this episode. I'll either finish it off camera or we'll finish it next episode. But I did put back on, we were running the Mercedes Concept Streamliner trailer last week, and I did go ahead and put back on. This is our Ikari Jumbo Low Belly, 3-axle, skinned, good to go. So I really like these cast Ikari trailers. I like all the packs that Cast makes, but I particularly like the Ikari trailers. I don't know why. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I just know I like them. All right. Less talking, more rocking. Let's get started up. We'll hop in here. Lights on. Wipers on. And it looks like we're going to head out and to the right. And we only have to go about 1K to pick up. So let's get this going. There's a gap in traffic. Beautiful. Swing this thing around so we don't hit anything. Of course. Right through there. Beautiful. And then we're going down here onto... can't tell if we're going left or right. I think we're going right. All right. Here we go. So how is everybody doing? It's Friday for me. It's Saturday for you. Man, this week has absolutely flown by. I felt like today was Wednesday. Turns out it's Friday. Ugh. No real news from anything as far as new Sims or new DLC or anything that's dropping. Our schedule is static. There is a new, it's one of the Truck Sim events. And it's been announced, but we don't have the specifics yet. But I guess we're going to be working together to finish a bridge in Genoa. And that has something to do with COVID-19. I don't know if it's going to benefit a charity or what, but it's solidarity with the Italian people. Kind of a rebuilding motif. So good for SCS. We'll see how that works out. I typically don't participate in those. I think the last one I did was I did the breast cancer awareness last October, and I did one for ATS when the new logging DLC came out. The heavy logging equipment DLC. I want to say I did that one, but I just did that to get the chainsaw. I did the one for Goodyear for ETS to get the little blimp dangle. Not really my thing, but I do some of them. Right, let's set the brake, and we'll take a look, and we'll pick up our canned tuna right here. Oh, we're still rocking our carbon fiber, by the way. Oh, I love carbon fiber. I love it. All right, canned tuna. We're taking this down to the far side of Romania. And like I said, we won't make it all the way down here. We'll probably get down in here somewhere. And I'd like to get down into Bulgaria and Turkey. Pardon the flickering there as I move across cities. I'd like to get down into Bulgaria and Turkey. That's all part of the Road to the Black Sea DLC. We didn't spend a ton of time down there. So we will do that now. I mean, not today, but just this period in time. Right, let's get flipped around here. Get loaded up. And what else is going on? Nothing. Like I said, we've got the dates. We've got the dates for all the DLC and all the new Sims that we're waiting for, and still they haven't even done a release date, an approximate release date for Iberia yet, and the closest we've got for Idaho is summer of 2020. So it'll be here. It'll be here when it gets here. And other than that, no news. No news to report. Let's get backed up here. So I've got, something's been on my mind. Something's always on my mind. That's the kind of cat I am. I'm always thinking about something. But something's been on my mind this week. And once we get loaded here and get rolling, gonna get it in one. Almost had it. Swing it back this way. A little zigzag. All right. Yep. Centered and everything. All right. So we'll get back to neutral. Set the brake, lights off, wipers off, engine off. Let's get loaded up. And it is, it's going to be going on noon. I hope the rain stops soon. I don't know if it will or not, but we'll just deal with that. as it happens. Right, lights back on. Hop in here. Brakes off. Put her in gear. Let's cycle up to this menu right here. I do like to see my brake pressure. I know what's going on. Lift axle up. Here we go. So I've been spending a lot of time in MotoGP 20. I got all of SnowRunner. I got all the map areas opened. I got all the upgrades and all the trucks discovered. And I had to call it. I've still got some tasks in the last 2 areas of Russia, and I've got a lot of contracts in Russia. I had to step away from the game. I am burned out on it. I binged it. I played it too much, and I had to step away from it. It's a great game. It's not the game, it's me. It's not you, it's me. I just had to step away from it. And when I stepped away from it, what I stepped into was MotoGP 20, which is a game that I got. And, you know, I've covered this in videos before. When you've got a franchise, it's tricky because you can't necessarily redo that game once a year. And I mean redo it like from the ground up. Put it on a new engine, come up with a new, I don't know, graphics, whatever, new physics modeling. You know, you can't redesign the game from the ground up every year. A lot of times, a franchise title, particularly with racing, a lot of it comes down to pajamas. You're just putting new pajamas on the drivers and riders. So I get that. And at the same time, I kind of, you know, we get frustrated when a new title is 50 or 60 bucks. And once you get it fired up, you realize, like, wow, this is exactly the same. So the Monster Energy Supercross title, I think, is a good example of that. Well, I thought MotoGP 20 was going to be the same thing. I played it, when I got out, I played it for a couple hours, and I thought, this is exactly the same. Now, there is a managerial mode, and I didn't get too deep into that. And that's on me, because had I got into that when I first got the game, I would have realized, yeah, this does add something to it. Right? Different developer, but Codemasters, with the F1 franchise, they've got the reporter and reputation and various other things. I feel like that's not really fully developed in the Codemasters title. We going? We're going. All right. I tried to grab another gear there to get us up that hill, and just as I grabbed that, sir, good grief, what? Oh, the stress. The stress of being a long-distance sim truck driver. I'm telling you what. What was I complaining about? Oh, yeah. So the reporter and the reputation, I feel like it's not fully developed. Now, I do like the team and vehicle development in the F1 franchise, because what you can do is take a lower-ranked team, Williams or McLaren or something, and if you get the difficulty set just right, you're not necessarily going to be winning races. Right? Williams and McLaren aren't winning a lot of races lately. But you can do well enough, and you can do the development tests in a way that lets you build up the points, and you can then... What is going on with the AI today? Sir? Really? All right. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bugged out, but something's a little funny right now. All right, we're going to move over here. You can build that team up, and you can be competitive against the big three. Lift axle down. There we go. I like that aspect, and it brings it's not necessarily like a storytelling mode or like a narrative mode, but it does. Golly, we got a lot going on today. Leaving Budapest, it brings something to the game. I feel it needs to be a little bit more filled out. But it's alright. It's okay. Well, I wasn't really counting on that in MotoGP 20. I saw that the gameplay was the same. Pajamas are different. They've, added a couple tracks. They've taken a couple tracks away. I said, this is all the same. Enjoy my 50 bucks, 60 bucks, whatever I paid for it. Thanks, milestone. And I really didn't play it again. Well, I've been playing it again since I burned out on SnowRunner. And what I realized is the managerial aspect is pretty well put together. It is sort of what I would want the managerial and career and reputation system to be in the F1 franchise. You do need to hire people. You need to allocate staff, you need to allocate resources, and the amount of resources that you have available is very much dependent on you as a rider and how you finish. So I'm starting in Moto 2, and one thing that's nice is the livery editor is very comprehensive. You can dial in everything, and when you sign with a team, naturally that team is going to have colors, so you sort of need to go with that. But you can override it. You can pick whatever colors you want for the bike, for your rider. There are custom teams you can create. There's a lot of flexibility in the livery editor, and that's going to lend itself to what we're discussing today. You go with a lower tier team to start with. You work your way up, development points, resource allocation, everything else, right? That's very cool. It really is. And it got me thinking about narrative and storytelling in a game. So let me lay this out for you, and you tell me what you think of it. So we're in Truck Sim right now. There's no narrative here. Now, you can role play it to your heart's content, but I have never hopped into Euro Truck and thought to myself, okay, I am a long haul trucker from, in our case right now, Stuttgart, and I've been driving trucks for 11 years, 29 years. I've been, and I really miss my family, and I know I only need to do this for another few years, and I'm thinking about hiring a driver, maybe expanding my garage, and right? I know there are people that do that. Good on them. It's not really my style of play. There is, as far as I'm concerned, no story aspect to something like this. The Farm Sim, I know there are a lot more people that role play. Again, I don't role play in Farm Sim. I do the thing, right? At the other end of the spectrum, all the way at the other end of the spectrum is something like, well, I can use the shooting games or the story-driven games that I've played the most of lately, which are going to be the Division franchise, the Ghost Recon franchise, the end of it. I wasn't in on Ghost Recon at the beginning, but the end of the franchise, the most recent titles. Tarkov, right? That's another one. And those have a tremendous amount of lore, which for some reason I completely skip over. Seriously, in Division, in Ghost Recon, even when I'm playing through the game the first time, I just tap the B button, X button, whatever it is, and skip through all that dialogue. I could not care less. I have no idea who the characters are, what their motivations are, why they're doing what they're doing. But that is all in the game. And the developers have taken the time and recruited the voice talent and rendered all the scenes with people talking. They've done all that for us. I just don't care. I really don't. And so, who is Aaron Keener? What is his motivation? I have no idea. He's the guy that did the thing with the money. I don't know. I really don't care. I just want to play the game. If we can find a good gear here. There's one. I know other people, they want all that, and they sit through all those scenes, and they really do feel like they are participating almost in a movie, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with either of those play styles. It's completely up to you. Games are becoming more and more expressive, more and more interpretive, right? And more participatory, where we can play a movie. And as the rendering gets better, as the graphics get better, at some point it is going to cross over, and we truly will feel like we are controlling the characters in a movie. That is very cool. It's just not really my thing, and so I skip over it. But as I'm looking at MotoGP 20 of all things, and seeing this sort of story aspect, I'm wondering, what's the right amount, and is it different for every genre? For something like a shooting game, or certainly a fantasy game or an RPG game, I think lore can be very important, because we are participating as characters, right? Versus something like, I guess iRacing would be all the way at the other end. There's no story in iRacing. The story in iRacing is your story. Whatever your story is as a person, That's your story as a driver. You can make one up if you want, but what's my story as a driver? Well, I've been driving with a wheel for about a year and a half now. The end. That's the end of the story. I love racing. I'm playing iRacing. I'm working my way up, trying to improve my iRating. There's no story. There's no story at all. And then at the other end, like we said, fantasy, RPG, tremendous amount of story. And that goes back to tabletop gaming, spreadsheet and pencil gaming, where, hang on, gotta get over here, where your character did have an extensive backstory. If you wanted to create one, you don't have to, but you could if you wanted to. So in the middle, in this case, MotoGP 20, where does that balance fall? And what is the right amount of storytelling that is required? Is any storytelling required at all? Does it help? Does it hurt? For one of the first times, I'm feeling like, yeah, there actually is something going on here. And I wouldn't say that I feel emotionally connected to my avatar in MotoGP 20. But the idea that we're starting with a lesser team and we have staff that we work with, I feel like that could add to the game. And I've never really felt that way about a racing game before. There's no, in something like Assetto Corsa Competizione, certainly in R Factor and Race Room, there's no narrative at all. You just drive the car. The F1 franchise has a little bit, Dirt has a little bit, but that's Codemaster, so there's gonna be some carryover from, they done me. There's gonna be some carryover from a franchise that's made in the same house. But I guess what I'm wondering about is, at what point does the story bleed into the AI? Because that really has an appeal for me. And I'm wondering if there could ever be AI that is aware of the story as well. And again, this is all code. I'm not suggesting that the AI would be emotionally aware of what's happening in the real world. But I think about evolving AI during a season. When the season starts, every driver has their own personality. Some drivers are aggressive. Some drivers are conservative. Some drivers are very skilled but very cautious. Some drivers are very skilled but very aggressive. However it breaks down. Base that on real drivers in the real world, right? I mean, if the drivers in-game represent drivers in the real world, you'd need to be a little bit careful with that you didn't hurt people's feelings. Andre de Crasheris, but use that in the same way that developers use real-world BOP data to decide which team is stronger, which team is faster, right? Apply real-world, personality data to the drivers, but then continue to have it evolve throughout the season. And what I mean by that is, if there's a driver with a huge points lead and they only need to finish 5th, your crew chief can get on the radio and tell you, this guy's not going to fight you. He only needs to finish 5th. He's not going to fight you for 4th. He's going to let you go right by. Heads up on that. Or just the opposite, right? This driver has to finish 3rd or better to win the championship. They will fight you to the death for 3rd place. Or a rivalry, right? If you're in a race, it's week, whatever. It's round 7, and you put somebody into the wall. Round 8, your crew chief tells you before the race starts, hey, look out for this guy, because it's been coded into the AI for that race. You know what I mean? That drivers hold a grudge. I don't mean that it's pre-written in there that's going to happen every season, round 8, but that it is, extended out that way. If you're a professional and respectful driver, that's how the AI treats you. And if you're a reckless driver, that's how the AI treats you. They give you a little bit more room, but at the same time, everybody's mad at you. I don't know. Like the real world, right? The way things are in the real world. I think that could really, there's I don't want to use the word synergy, but I think if you combine those two, you got something. Because thinking about the F1 franchise with, is it Devin Butler? Is our rival. Guy's a big jerk, right? The voice acting's fantastic. You just want to punch him in the face. But then it never goes anywhere. And I think if you want it to be like Le Mans, if you want it to be like Rush, talking about the movies now, if you want it to be like Prost and Senna, if you want it to be like Schumacher and every driver he ever raced against, Villeneuve, if you want to carry that real world drama into a video game, and I'm not talking about drama for the sake of drama, I'm talking about drama that would enhance the gameplay, then you can't just have that as a backstory that does not in any way impact the gameplay. I think you've got to find a way to code that into... Hang on, I remember this one. Yeah, I remember this one. I think we want to, as closely as possible, follow the red line here. Yep. But I think if you could make that happen, proceed through the rightmost gate. Rightmost gate. Okay. I think if you could do that, you'd be onto something. I think if you could bring... Sir. There we go. I think if you could bring that compelling sort of narrative into a sim, into a race sim, into a truck sim for that matter, I think you'd be onto something. Did we hit it? Did we trigger it? There it is. To start the border check, press enter. Checking the papers. Everything looks good. It does. Everything is in order. Have a nice journey. Thank you. I will. And proceed straight ahead. Now this does say stop up here. Are they doing a secondary check? They're going to bring the dog out? Bad. When they bring the dog, stop at the mark and stop the engine. Interesting. This is all base game. We're not running pro mods or anything. Stop the engine with an exclamation point. All right, man. You got it. Set the brake. Engine is off. Oh. Is this new? I feel like I've never seen this before. This is badass. And there is the dog. All right. I guess we're good to go. I heard the ding. Cutscene ended. Here we go. We'll see if we get a big ticket for pulling through there. No, we don't. Okay. So, yeah, I wonder about things like that. And on the one hand, I think, well, you're never going to make everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody not happy with the way that you... Is that truck's over there? Truck's over here. I remember coming through here the last time and really liking the way this was put together. So it looks like buses and cars to the straight and trucks over this way. These signs are a little bit confusing. But then we've got trucks over there. Yeah, those signs are a little bit confusing. And all those trucks are back that way. So we're going to flip around here. Oh dear. We're going to have to do this. God, I hate to do this. Sorry. We may get a ticket for doing this, but we don't have a choice. We got to get back into this parking lot and get flipped around. Those signs are... You tell me. They're certainly confusing to me. Alright, we didn't get a ticket there. Good on us. And now we're going to go around here. And this render looks really, really good. I'm pleased with this. And we've got a nice fat frame rate. Alright. So that says trucks over there. Alright. I mean, we're going to go straight here. Even though it says we're not supposed to. That says buses and cars, but we're going. All right. What do we got here? Something, some kind of sign. So we're going to get weighed right here. 5 kilometers an hour. Yep, I remember coming through here before, and I feel like it was as confusing last time as it is this time. Stop here. All right. Green light. This is a really nice level of detail. And in fact, I remember thinking to myself, last time we came through here, this strikes me as a Pro Mods level of detail. As far as the cutscenes and the animation. Well, Pro Mods didn't have any cutscenes, but they did have a lot of ins and outs. A lot of stuff that you needed to do. Oh my goodness. Look at this guy over here. Sir, we're going to need to take a look in your truck. Oh, man. That is not good. All right. Yep, I really like this sort of stuff. And in fact, there's a good example of it right there. Could you ever bring that level of narrative to Truck Sim? Could you ever, I don't know, have your driver make connections with people? Right? Build reputation with various dispatchers. Build relationships with other trucking companies. Get advantageous pricing on bulk fuel purchase. Be approached by a shady character offering you an outrageous amount of money to take some unmarked boxes into Romania. You know? And if you get caught with them, you lose your truck. You lose 200,000 euros. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. But would that do anything for Truck Sim, or is Truck Sim fine the way it is now? And as I said to start the video, I have never hopped in Truck Sim and thought, okay, you know, what's my backstory? What's my motivation here? Why am I doing this? I just enjoy driving the trucks. And I know for other people, they really prefer the roleplay style. They really prefer to have I guess, a greater understanding or sort of starting point. What they're doing, why they're doing. And that's cool. That's the great thing about games, is you can play them any way you want. Absolutely any way you want. Whatever works for you is the best way to play. But it does make me wonder. And I feel like as we get closer and closer to the point where games are indistinguishable from reality, that we really will reach a point where every game that we play either as an extension of ourselves, essentially ourselves in that world, or we play as a person, as a character that is the complete opposite of us. And that's something else that fascinates me about games, is to see the way that people create characters. And that's exactly it. Me personally, when I have to build a character, I build myself. Other people build someone who is exactly the opposite of them. And then other people, this fascinates me too, other people hit the random button just to generate a character. Gender, right? Build, hair color, all of it. And when they roll their attributes, they just roll them random. Whatever they get, they get. And that strikes me as, you know what, see a place to sleep right there. And this is a long trip. So let's pull over here. At the bottom of the ramp, we need to remember to make it's a traffic circle, but we need to get out to the left. So we're going to slow down, lift the axle. Whoa, slow down. Lift the axle. And we'll take what would that be? Second exit. And get over to that parking area. I do like keeping the stability and the brakes turned really, really low. But it can be, you know what I'm saying? A little tricky. All right, so we'll get through here. Try not to hook the wheels. Take out the sign. Beautiful. Right down here. And this is a fuel stop as well. And we do need fuel. We're on about 1/3 of a tank. Perfect. This all worked out. Now, while we're down here, or perhaps next episode before we take off, I will go ahead and discover this town. And now, how do we get to this place? I think we just go to the left. Yeah, there's a traffic circle up ahead, but we don't need to roll toward it. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, we can just turn here. Okay. So we'll turn in here, and we'll call it. And then I'll either take this the rest of the way off camera, or we will pick up from here next week. You know what? Let's do what we did with ATS. We'll just pick up here next week. So I think I see, yep, the sun is right there. So we're going to pull right in here. Oh, perfect. It's a place to sleep. And we do need to sleep. Yeah, let's park it here. We'll sleep through the night. We'll start here next week. Beautiful. So we do that. We do that. Right? We do that. And then we're going to come out here. We're going to call it. There you have it, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2. We'll see you next time. Take care now.